Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Panther tank build. In this video I will be focusing on painting the camouflage, weathering and pigmentation. Let's get to work. As a base I use Mr. Surfer 1000. I decided to paint the camouflage of the 116th Panther Division operating in the Western Front in 1945. I use Mr. Color dark yellow, red brown mixed with 123 with red and dark green. I use a Fengda airbrush in most of my models, but in this case it's a Chromex airbrush with 0.2mm nozzle. I'm not so experienced with this brand. I'd rather use it for large areas and varnishing. But this camouflage is not so difficult to paint, so it will do the work. And here it is. Easy, am I right? And now comes a curious situation. I have to paint all the camouflage dots separately. This type of camouflage dots don't look so good on smaller models, but I will try my best. It doesn't look so bad at all. What do you think? Next, I paint the red-brown dots. And at last, the green dots. Now, I apply the first layer of super clear varnish. A super clear varnish is a very good base for applying decals. In this step, I apply a little bit of water with a brush and apply the decal gently in place. The Revell softener is good for adhering decals to uneven surfaces. There is a little bit of water left under the decal, so I smoothly press it on with a cotton swab. And here is the magic of a Revell softener. I gently press the decal in the correct position. I sealed the decals with another layer of super clear varnish. And of course, the wheels as well. And now is the time to paint the small parts with a paintbrush. I use Mr. Color Wood Brown for all the wooden parts. The steel parts are next. I don't have any filters, so I create them simply with oil paints. I use ordinary oil paints that you can buy in every paper store. You can create filters by mixing white, yellow, ochre and burnt umber. Now, I take a flat paintbrush and blend all paints together. With this technique, you can simply create your own filter at home. A weathering filter is very important for your model to look more used, bleached by sun, rain and dust. The oil paints can be simply removed by touching the model, so I seal them with a third layer of clear varnish. The next technique I use is sponge chipping. Take a small piece of a sponge, dip it into a lighter paint and gently touch the surface of the model. With this technique, you can imitate scratches and peel off camouflage. After drying out, I take a red-brown paint and imitate rusty surface on the model. Next, I apply a pin wash. A pin wash helps to highlight small parts and imitate shadows. In this case, I use a dark brown wash from Mick Jimenez. The pin wash dries out after 15 minutes and the excessive wash must be removed with the amino thinner, otherwise it will be very hard to remove it. Alright, the tank is already finished. But I have to work on the worst part of the build. Yes, I'm talking about the wheels and tank tracks. First, I cut all the wheels from the plastic sprue. All early Panthers had rubber wheels and they must be painted by hand. I paint the tank tracks with a mix of steel, red-brown colors. Next step is pigmentation. I'm using a mix of European earth and dust pigments. The pigments must be sealed off with the pigment fixer, otherwise they fall off of the model and will make a big mess. I don't want to have dusty furniture at home. In this part, I am applying pigments on the sides of the chassis. In the end, they won't be seen, but I'm doing it anyway. Dusty tank is a dusty tank. And once again, everything is sealed off with a pigment fixer. Now, I'm applying the pigments on the tank tracks. All used tank tracks rust with time, so I'm applying a layer of light rust. I'm sealing off the tank tracks with a pigment fixer. Now I'm applying a layer of matte varnish. Now it's time for the paint wash. The paint wash will highlight all necessary details on the wheels. I imitate rip color by painting with steel paint on the main traction gear. Now a little bit of dry brushing. I apply a little bit of paint on my finger and rub it over the tank tracks. All the wheels are weathered and paint washed, so I'll seal them with a flat base varnish. The wheel assembly wasn't bad at all, but I knew what is coming next. Tank tracks. This part of the build was the hardest of them all. Revell's tank tracks are a nightmare for every modder. I had to bend the upper tank track to the right position. I had to use tweezers to put the upper part in the right position. And now for the most annoying part. This track build cost me a lot of nerves. I'm talking about the 12 small tracks. They need to be put in place separately. And here is the result. It isn't perfect, but I'm satisfied with it. Next, I glue the additional side armor plates in place. It's time for oil paints again. This time, I'm imitating rain trickles, dust, and dirt. In the end, I apply a little bit of light rust at all steel parts. I apply the last layer of Mr. Color flat base varnish. Alright, the Panther tank is finished. I'm already looking forward to build a diorama to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't saw the first part of the build, there is a link in the description. Please subscribe to my channel, like or leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching and see you next time.